So I'm back at beautiful Tramline Beach on the southern shore, southwestern shore of Smith's Lake, about 25 k's south of Foster on the beautiful mid-north coast of New South Wales, having a look at the Narani Tramway log landing ramp. You can see the ramp running out here towards the north, an egret sitting on top of one of the logs. But today I brought my trusty Minelab CTX 3030 detector to try and find any remnants of the line that might be buried. You can see here sleepers where there's some spikes in them, bolts to indicate where the rails were bolted down or dogged down. And here's the CTX Minelab 3030. In my case, I'm not here to dig things up. I really just want to try and find metal objects that are under the ground, in this case the sand and shell, to see if I can determine an alignment of where the sleepers are and potentially any pieces of rail. Now the rail at this end would most probably have been timber with cast iron strap on top and on the inside edges. However, there were probably iron rails here somewhere, perhaps from this point forward. So we'll have a quick look. So you can see sleepers there where the bolts or spikes are exposed. And then it gets a little interesting here because I'm getting hits various locations that seem to align with the line running up here. However, I suspect they probably had some sort of loop or siding to be able to move the logs around on the bogies and set them together to haul them over to the sawmill. Some of the hits were faint, but many of them are very strong, particularly up the top here where there's a fair bit of cover. As you can see, some of this is a little bit washed away. This is that iron object we had a look at on the previous video. It's a rectangular shape. Don't know what it is. We'll try and work that out. But when I got up to here, some of the hits were pretty fierce, which was great. In fact, along here, I think pretty much perhaps a buried rail, or if not, a timber rail with the cast iron strap still intact, and perhaps sections of it over here. Now, of course, I'm not here to dig things up. This is just indicative. And I guess that's the beauty of the detector and the pin flags. It helps you see what's under the surface. You don't know what it is, but you can see patterns. And in this case, the patterns are pretty linear. So that suggests to me, given we know there's a tramway running up here, or was, that's what it's a remnant of. We can look back down. Hopefully it's not flaring too much. You can actually see the alignment running out towards the lake. And then on this side though, it sort of goes out a bit. So it looks to me like there might have been, as I said, a loop or a siding here where they could assemble several bogies together and haul several logs back to the mill 2.2 k's to the south on the north shore of Mile Lake at Hart's Point at what was the village of Narani. GoPro, stop recording. Okay, I've got the trusty waders on, so we're going to go for a walk out into the shallows here and see what we can see. So I'm walking up the tramway formation. Hopefully you can see okay in the water as we come to the water. Now we're coming up to one of the landings. You can see the logs laid out. In fact, over the back here you can see it's not flaring too much. The bolts sticking out egret there. Sorry to disturb you, bird. Yeah, you can see there one of the bolts or pins sticking out. Another one there, and so on. So that's where I think the skid plates, timbers were set this way. You can see here one of the sleepers, I think. The rail used to be attached. Now you can see, hopefully, we'll get to this side, the sleepers, but also the rock here, base of the formation, to try and hold it all together. Obviously the wave action with the sand would tend to wash it away, erode it away. So this created a base upon which the sleepers and the ballast, by way of basically sand and shell grit, could hold the rails and the sleepers down in place. We're coming up to another landing. It'll be flaring pretty badly there. We'll come back the other way shortly. Just taking a look back from whence we've come. You can obviously see the alignment running that way, the blue pin flags in the distance, and the two landings there, one where the egret is hanging out, one just here, and then another one just in this location. Another beautiful day here in August, winter, and it's about 20 degrees Celsius. Beautiful. It's starting to get a little deeper. Fortunately my waders go up to my waist essentially, but I won't go that deep. Now we can actually see part of the old timber rail, hopefully, with the wave action not being too bad. You can see it running along there. I'll try not to trip over and face over apex. And one of these rocky formations here, which is either part of the formation itself, it's obviously part of that, but it's actually off to the side. So I think it was a platform for where the workers could stand in deeper water, and the bogies would be loaded here with the logs coming off the landing there. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording. Just coming past this old landing ruin towards where we think perhaps is the remains of an abandoned paddle wheel drogher or some other sort of barge. Have a bit of a walk around, see what we can see. This is interesting. It's curved, so it may have been the bow by the look of it. Okay. See, it runs around here. And the boiler is up the back, so if this was indeed the bow, potentially, then the boiler would have been at the back where the paddle wheel was. Who knows at this stage? More iron objects buried. The side of it here. More iron debris, all of this stuff here, everywhere. I'm going to have to talk to some maritime archaeologists and people who know a bit more about the shipping history here in the Great Lakes of the mid-north coast, New South Wales. So that's it for me for today. Enjoy.